Yo, what is up, guys? Joker here bringing you another video. This time going over Last Epoch and my opinions on the game. In case you're unaware, Last Epoch is an ARPG made by 11th Hour Games, much in the lines of things like Path of Exile, Diablo 3, Diablo 4, Torchlight, that type of game, except for its gameplay loop is based around you being more of a time traveler. Think something more like Xenoverse, if you've ever played that or heard of that, where essentially you're trying to correct a messed up timeline. As of right now, Last Epoch is in its last stands of its beta form. It is currently 0.9.2 or something like that, with estimations from 11th Hour Games hoping for the game to be fully released by the end of 2023. As of right now, you can buy the game on Steam or on my Nexus store for about $35, which I would wholeheartedly recommend. I think Last Epoch is an amazing game, especially for the fact that it is only its beta version right now. With the official release and the amount of support that it already gets, I see a very bright future for Last Epoch. I like to gauge games with $1 per hour of time. So, like with it being $35, I would usually like to be able to play the game and have fun for at least 35 hours. But you're able to get much more out of this than that. If you compare it to something like Diablo 4, where it was $70, $100 for literally half to a third of the price, you're getting 5 to 6 times the content. There's actually an end game in this with in game bosses. With that out of the way, let's start listing some things about Last Epoch that I really enjoy. A couple of the things that Last Epoch provides are such a huge quality of life over other ARPGs. We have things like a death system that actually tells you what you die to, so you're able to increase the defenses around that. So, like, let's say you died of fire damage, it's going to say you died to fire damage, which a lot of other ARPGs don't do. On top of that, the defensive system in this game actually works as intended. If you get your resistances and your defensive layers up, then you are going to feel that pseudo immortality as long as you're not just face tanking big, huge hits that you shouldn't be standing in, anyways. The attacks are well choreographed from these bosses, so you're able to not take damage as long as you don't stand in the big AoE, on top of the fact that Last Epoch has one of the best, if not the best, loot filter I have ever seen in any type of game. You're able to make this loot filter as specific or as basic as you want. Starting the game, you can just block out all trash items, so like all common and blue items, right? And then just pick up rare items. But once you continue to progress and you're trying to get items specifically for your build, you can target farm items with the modifiers that you need. That way, when you see and you pick up an item, it's actually something that holds value for you. You're not having to waste your inventory picking up a horde of useless items. On top of the fact that the crafting system in this game is amazing, you don't have to just randomly RNG roll for something. You can. There are items that allow you to essentially chaos spam an affix, but for a majority of the crafting, you are able to specifically say, okay, I'm doing fire damage. Let me put fire damage on my weapon so I do increased damage. Oh, I'm missing some lightning res. Let me target craft lightning res onto my item. In addition to that, the game does have a really good in game guide that helps you find out what affixes mean. As an example, I'm playing a bleed bow rogue and I needed to figure out how to scale my bleed damage, so I needed to figure out what bleed was specifically in this game. So I went to the guide and I typed in bleed, and it told me that bleed is a affliction that deals 53 base damage every 3 seconds at its core, but it can stack in unlimited amount of times. So after finding that out, I was able to figure out, okay, well, I'm going to need stuff like damage over time because it doesn't scale with the base hit. So there's no reason in getting a bigger base hit. On top of that, since it scales an infinite amount of times, I'm going to want to try to apply as many of these bleeds as I can because they each last 3 seconds. I'm going to want to use puncture because it gives bleeds an additional 30-second duration and so on. So it was really easy and really intuitive for a new player to figure out I want to play this type of character. How am I going to scale my character? Now, my character is by no means at the end game quite yet. I'm at, I think, level 40 right now, but I've ran into no problems so far. I've been able to proactively upgrade my gear anytime I've needed it. I've been adjusting my loot filter and I've been having a really great time. The game goes ahead and it holds your hand just enough that you just don't mindlessly struggle trying to figure it out. It has a bunch of guides built into it that allow you to figure out how the game works without having to rely on so many third party resources. If I were to have to start listing cons, that is a little bit tougher since I really haven't found that much that I dislike about the game. A couple of the things that I dislike are things that are probably going to be fixed before the official launch. Like the first quest, when I was starting a new character, it bugged out and I tried to look out how to fix it. Essentially, all I had to do was log back out and log back in. But things like that are going to be fixed. The things that I'm finding that annoy me are just like little here and there bugs with either loading screens or stuff or the game getting stuck on a quest, which, like I said, these are going to be things that are obviously going to be patched out before the official release of the game since we're still in a beta, right? So, and they do have a fantastic report a bug system. So if you do find one of these, just report it. And they are really good with working with the community and the feedback given. So I haven't really found anything that I can complain about, honestly. And that's probably another pro, if anything, that I haven't really found anything bad about Last Epoch. A lot of the things that are big turnoffs in other games just aren't in this game. A lot of the things like selling you quality of life aren't in this game. Like I said, you have infinite storage. It's easy to understand. You don't have to rely on a third parties. The community's not toxic. The devs are really interactive with the community. So if I had to say cons for the game, I guess it would have to be the $35 price tag, maybe? I don't know. But they do have to get money somehow. So until they're able to start up seasons and microtransactions and stuff for cosmetics and stuff like that, my main cons are some of the quests are buggy, but that's it. If I had to give Last Epoch a solid rating as it is right now on what? Oh, it's October 1st? Okay, on October 1st, 2023, I would give it a solid 8, 8.5 out of 10. The reasons for this are, like I was mentioning, there are still some things with like the bugs and interactions that need to be fixed. So obviously it's not a perfect 10, but there's not a whole lot actually wrong with the game either, so I can't really take much away from it there. It is a fantastic foundation for an ARPG, and my hopes are super high. The only things that I can think of ruining this game are if they add some kind of pay to win, which I don't even know how they would once the game's officially released, or they stop caring about it, which I don't see them doing. So I have insanely high hopes for Last Epoch going forward. Ending the video off with some final words. If you gave Diablo 4 a try, there's no reason for you to not give Last Epoch a try, especially if you like ARPGs. Last Epoch takes a lot of the good things from ARPGs and doesn't take any of the bad things. It's not trying to sell us quality of life yet. I mean, I can't say that indefinitely. I don't see them trying to sell quality of life in the future, but as of right now, it gives us everything we need where we don't have to rely on third party resources. So I have a lot of hopes for this game. I know I've said that multiple times, but as long as 11th Hour doesn't straight up drop the ball, this has potential to compete with PoE 2 as biggest ARPG on the market. But that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your opinions if you play Last Epoch down in the description. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like there are a bunch of negatives that I didn't list? Tell me. Tell me if there's things that I just haven't ran into yet. Overall, I have 200 hours in the game, but that's 200 hours over like 2.5, 3 years. So majority of the time was like 3 years ago. I've recently just jumped in again to test out a lot of the new systems, and I'm really liking it. So, like I said, tell me if you feel the same down in the comment or tell me I'm wrong. But until next time, take care.